Oh yeah, black sun in the hizzle, all for shizzle dizzle. We got an excellent show here today. Wait on Nature Mom to get here so we can get started. But before she gets here, let's talk real quick. So, hey, Deacon, what's up? Peace to you, Deacon. Deacon, I want to give a shout out to Deacon and everybody in the chat. Give a shout out to the cloud. Um, so next week, since I'm here, I might as well give y'all a lineup for next week. We got it's going to be a great show. Yeah, of course, it's going to be a great show, man. Yeah, this is going to be a good one because it's going to be the first time me and Nature Mom have a discussion about nutrition. So this is going to be a real good one. Um, she's got some very interesting outtakes on nutrition, and as y'all know, so do I. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Zanzi. Oh man, just in time. What up, Zanzi? What up?
Hey, what's up?
Hey, so this is going to be interesting.
Oh, I thought the show is yesterday. It was scheduled for yesterday.
Yeah, sorry about that, man. I Nature Mom says she has something to do on Saturday, so if she could do it Sunday. So I go, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I hope
I,
she
I
delivers.
I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to stay. I had something.
Okay,
I have someone coming over about half
okay,
an
no problem.
hour. But, I'll stay as much as I can.
Okay, no problem, no problem. Well, man, since you're here, man, yeah, yeah, we were going to actually discuss nutrition today. You know, what I'm saying so. Nature Mom, she we were talking about it, and she was like, "Yo, I'm considering going raw," and I'm like, "Raw? Oh man, I think that's." And I think this is just my opinion. When people do they try to go the vegan route. They do the extreme, and a lot of people they switch back to eating meat because when you go to such an extreme, I think the body takes a shock. I think a person, this is just my opinion, they should just wean off the meat, dairy, and eggs, the things that are harmful, and just, still do cooked foods. But uh, people get off into this whole, I don't know, extreme realm. And that's why a lot of people,
So, what are the supposed advantages of a raw diet? I guess that it's not raw meat; it's just raw vegetables, like uncooked vegetables and fruit.
well, okay, so and this I agree with Nature Mom on this. I think people should eat raw vegetables, but not exclude to just raw vegetables. Because okay, so raw vegetables and fruits, well, obviously fruits are raw, but they're supposed to give you more nutrients. And my thing is, yeah, but you can also cook a lot of stuff too. Like you can't do uh legumes raw. You can't. You just can't. You got to cook your legumes, and you'll
Oh,
get
you can. I mean, well, by legumes, it depends what you mean, I guess. But like, would carrots be considered legumes or no?
I
Or
think
legumes are just like beans and stuff, or
I thought carrots were considered they're
no?
considered
But it might just be a language thing, right? Because here, here in French, légumes mean all vegetables, right? So I guess
oh
in
okay.
English, legumes is a category of vegetables. Is that it, or?
Um Now I thought legume was considered this I guess the stage, that would be correct, but the stage, like okay, a seed and a
Because
bean.
in French, we've got like all vegetables are called legumes, right? And
Okay.
we've got a very specific part of vegetables that are called legumineuses, right? And that's the same family root for word as legume.
Okay.
But les legumineuses, right? That's beans and peas and stuff
Right.
like that, right? So
Okay.
I'm wondering if legumes in English means also beans and peas, whilst vegetables is all vegetables.
Um
So I'm
that's a
basically
good
just asking
question.
what does legume mean in English, right?
So as far as I know, legume, like I said, just encompasses all the. I think seeds fall in that too, but your beans, all your beans are considered legume. Your edible beans, yeah,
Seeds, okay, seeds are considered legumes.
yeah,
Huh,
yeah,
okay.
seeds. Um,
They're
I
not
guess
considered nuts. part
Yeah.
of the nut family.
Um. Yeah, because I guess nuts are considered seeds in scientific sense, meaning seeds can. Well, you got your seeds, your nuts. Well, you know what?
I'm no
That's
expert in
tough.
the subject, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's I have to do further research on that. Maybe when Nature Mom gets here, she can further enlighten us. But like I said, I think that if a person decides to go vegan, just cut out the meat, dairy, and eggs. That's it. It doesn't have to be all complicated. It doesn't have to. I think to me, going raw is being complicated. I think that's I think that's adding more stress to your body unnecessarily. You know, I mean, yeah, okay, you get more nutrients, but also your proteins are going to come from and this is why people probably like, oh, vegans don't get protein because a lot of your they go to an extreme. They like eat salads all damn day, and I'm like, yo, y'all doing it all wrong, all wrong.
Well, the reason the discovery, or maybe not discovery, but the mastery of fire was such an important part of why we're able to eat meat.
Right,
It's because it makes it much more digestible when it's cooked, right?
right.
So, is it the same for vegetables, right? Does it make them easier to digest for the body, right? Because I mean, vegetables, most plants have cellulose in it, and your body can't digest cellulose, right? So, is cooking it and denaturing the cellulose helping with digesting most vegetables? Again, I know nothing about nutrition, so it's a genuine question.
Well, first I got to ask you the question about cellulose. Like, who told you? Because if it wasn't for cellulose, our brains would never expanded. Our
No,
brains fed off cellulose.
you can digest cellulose. That's why you're shitting
Okay,
corn.
right. But what I'm saying is that the brain needs cellulose. The brain, that's why we had the whole development, because people think, oh, we had development because we ate meat. That's not true. It's the cellulose that developed our brains, not the proteins. Now, we eat the proteins like from our mother's milk at a certain time, but at a certain time it cuts off. But it continues to feed off the cellulose. That's why, people drink coffee because of with no, what was it, the transformation of the cellulose somehow it has the same effect as caffeine. So that's why people get alert and all that stuff when they eat spikes of sugar. But they say it's better to get natural sugars as opposed to refined sugars, because refined sugars, of course, tear your teeth up and all that, and enamel in your teeth. But the cellulose is what makes you actually alert. But too
Uh,
much of it can spike. That's why children have ADHD and be all hyper.
so,
But
from what I see, from what I'm researching right now,
okay,
we cannot we cannot digest cellulose. We cannot break it down.
okay, hold on.
So I don't know why you're saying cellulose is what drove the brain, but that's false.
let me bring up my information. Google slides. Now I'll bring up mine because I got mine from the. Hold on, I'll show you my source. So you got your source. Let's match up sources here. Let's match up sources so we can see what the hell's going on. Because let's see what the hell's going on. Where is the damn Google Slides, man? Google Slides. Google Slides presentation. Give me 1 second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Get started, please. Come on. Oh, they make this so fucking difficult. Damn, this is why I'm like doing this fucking slide shit. Oh, fuck. Give me 1 second, y'all. Slides
Okay,
presentation.
so I'm reading a little bit more into it, and it's
Okay.
it's more complex, right? Still,
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's basically said that, from what I understand, no animals can digest cellulose by itself, right?
Right.
It's
Okay.
usually done through bacteria in the gut, right?
Okay.
That's one thing that is done by bacteria, you
Okay.
know. But different species have different gut flora, right? So
Right.
that it so some species can with their gut flora digest cellulose, and some can't. And humans, most most cellulose is not digested. The little bit that is, um, mm,
Yeah, I still can't pull up my damn. Wait, Google. Let's pull up Google Docs, man. This is fucking. I'm gonna have to write this shit down because I can't be doing no debates and can't open up my fucking Google.
no, no. So
Google Slides. What the hell? Google Docs. That's not it. Yeah, I'm still trying to open up my shit, man. God damn. Okay, I think that's Nature Mom right there.
but no,
Okay.
no. All the sources I find indicate that we cannot digest cellulose because we don't have
Okay.
the bacteria needed to do it. And that's what I've learned in pretty much all level of schools in which I had biology. So I would very surprised that you could find a source that would indicate that we can digest cellulose.
All right. Go. Give me one second. Google. Google Slides. Because the research that I have says something slightly different, if not majorly different. Let me see. So is it saying that we can't digest it, period? Is that what it's saying?
It's saying that no animals can digest cellulose, that it's the gut bacteria in our intestines that
Transfers
does
it.
it, and that humans don't have the bacteria necessary uh, for the breaking down of the cellulose. So we can digest it. And that's something interesting. It says that because those bacteria would raise the heat of our internal body so much by doing this digesting that it would be akin to having a fever for us. So our bodies are not at all designed for cellulose digestion.
Okay, hold on one second. Okay, Nature Mom, your connection is really poor. It's really poor. Uh oh. Uh oh. Yeah, your connection is really poor. If you can hear me, your connection is bad. It is really bad. Okay, history. Hey, how do I open up my Google Slides, man? What the fuck? Jesus fucking Christ. How to open Google Slides? What the fuck is wrong with this fucking shit, man? Oh my gosh, y'all excuse me. Damn. Slide presentation. That's all I want. Oh my god, what the fuck is going on? Oh, what am I missing here?
Doesn't it open with the web version of slides? Like if you go on Google, the app section, there should be slides.
How do I do that?
With Google and next to your name, there's a little like eight, no, nine little dots.
Nine little
That's
dots.
the
Okay.
app section,
Okay.
and you've got docs, sheets, slides, right? So you can
Oh,
click on slides, and that's the application, and you should be able
okay.
to load
You you went way
whatever you
too fast. Okay, I'm at the dots near my name. I'm there. Now what do I do?
go down, right? And towards the bottom, you're gonna have applications like docs, sheets, and slides. And slides should be right there.
Applications. I see apps. Is that it?
Yeah, well, apps, that's the sorry, application. That's the little nine dots I'm speaking about, right? Right next
Oh
to your name.
jeez. Maybe I'm using the wrong fucking Google. Maybe I might be using the wrong. Oh Jesus fucking Christ. Um, Google
Just go
Slides.
on google.com.
Okay, let me go back to Google.com. Okay, Google. Google Docs slides.
And when you're google.com, right, on the
Mhm.
right upper corner, you've got those little 9 dots. You see those 9 dots?
Here we go. Okay, so Google Docs. Okay, thank you, man. Thank you. All right, so let me go.
But docs is not slides.
Um, no, it's not.
Slides is in the row just under docs, right next to the to books.
Okay, so slides. Here, so Google Slides. Google Slides. Okay. So once I pull this thing up, we can probably get an understanding together on this because I read this book on anatomy and it said that the brain needs glucose. So once I find
Glucose and cellulose are not the same thing.
cellulose. Okay, you did say that. Okay, glucose. My bad. I'm sitting up here. Okay, using the
Glucose is
wrong word.
sugar.
Yeah. Our brain needs glucose.
Yeah, much more than your brain
Yeah,
needs.
cellulose.
Your
Okay.
whole body needs glucose to some extent.
Right. Okay,
That's why
okay. So
diabetic people
yeah.
have such hard time.
Right. Okay. So let me see if I can get Nature Mom back on here. Okay. Say something now, Nature Mom. Yeah. Okay. So your
You're on mute.
picture's good.
Okay, can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah. I don't know
Oh,
what was
oh,
going on, but that was
oh.
oh
Our
gosh.
our tech our tech genius fixed it all.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Good. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Peace.
Thank you. Everybody said peace and thank you.
Yeah. That was. Oh my God. What had happened, man?
Uh,
So me and Zanzi got on here, man. I mistaken glucose with cellulose, and oh wow, big. Okay.
glucose. Okay, so cellulose is not digestible with the human system, although, no. Let me rephrase that. It is digestible for fiber. It's not digestible and very useful for nutrients.
Well,
So yes,
it's not digestible, but it does act as a fiber in an
it's
undigested form,
it's an
right?
important fiber, but it's
Yeah,
not actually like a actual nutrient rich sugar source. So
yeah,
yeah,
I
and
got
sorry I couldn't join in, you guys. I had all kinds of stuff going on, and I
All
didn't know
right.
what was happening.
Okay.
I didn't know how to
Okay.
fix it. I just ran for the hills. I was like, help,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty bad. I didn't. We didn't even get a picture. Okay.
Ah,
So
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
Uh,
So oh, go ahead. Go
so
ahead.
yeah, when you're mixing glucose, so glucose is what every food breaks down to because this is what actually
Right.
fuels our body.
Right.
So yeah, it makes sense. Sometimes yeah, it's hard. All these like lactose,
Right. Yeah.
glucose.
Cellulose.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. And I was like,
yeah. There's a lot
when
of them.
Zanzi said cellulose, I was thinking glucose, and yeah, that's
Yeah,
okay. Good
no.
thing. Yeah. So
So unfortunately, I missed the conversation about the context of the cellulose. But what I did get to hear when I chimed in
oh,
is, about like it not being a useful, and it is useful as a fiber.
Oh,
So
I
it's
wasn't saying
interesting.
it's not useful. I was saying that we can digest it. The bacteria in our body can digest it.
So
But the
yeah,
context of the cellulose was not its usefulness. It's because we were talking about the idea of cooking food versus not cooking food, right? And I was saying that fire, the mastery of fire, was an important part of why we got to be able to eat meat because it makes it cooking the meat makes it much more digestible. But I was wondering if cooking vegetables what would denature the cellulose in some way to also make it more digestible, right?
okay, so what's interesting about cooking vegetables is that one, most people overcook vegetables, so
Mm.
then they deplete all of its nutrient density.
okay.
Okay, so when you overcook it, I mean, basically, let's say, for example, when you're cooking broccoli, it should still be pretty green, not going towards brown.
Right.
What?
Um, yeah, it
People
should
are
be.
eating brown broccoli?
Yeah, I mean, some people cook broccoli because they want it very tender, and it almost takes on a brown texture from the
So
green,
they
right?
cook it like in a pan or something because I
I
steam
mean,
it
it
and I
could be
don't see
many
how it.
ways. Yeah, you could steam it, you could
Boil it.
bake it, you can put it in a pan. But when it starts to lose this greenish So basically what you're doing is you're depleting all of the chlorophyll. You're taking all of the best nutrients out of the food once it starts to brown. So
Sure.
this browning is actually oxiding it. It's turning. It's like basically creating a negative oxygenation. And you don't want to do that with your food, because if you want the maximum nutrients, you want it to be as close to its natural state as possible. But what you're saying is, when we introduce fire to humanity, what happened is fire and water was able to release enzymes that are
Right.
very important for digestion. And so when we created this access to enzymes, that's when our brains started to get bigger. So this is what, Darwin's theory is. We move from chimps to humans is when we actually put fire to our food. So, I do think Darwin is a little bit of a quack, but I will say that there are some things that aren't a very white supremacist in his ideologies. So like he has some truths and then he adds it with a lot of opinion. So when you're looking at the balance of food itself, when you are able to get the right nutrient balance, the question is, what exactly are you trying to get? Because if you're trying to get, let's say, I am someone who advocates, hi twin, I am someone who advocates for raw food. I do advocate, hi deacon, I do advocate for cooked food as well.
Okay,
uh,
okay. That's what my misunderstanding was too, because I'm definitely an advocate for cooked food. And it's funny how Zanzi brought up when we introduced fire, we were cooking meat. People always run to meat, but they don't never run to the legumes and grains that we cooked also. They just automatically assumed, oh, our brains expanded from meat. Not saying you saying that, Zanzi, but this is the narrative. And they totally skip the legumes and the
that
rice.
and fruit, I mean carnivorous, everything. If it wasn't for fire, we and water, let me
Right.
be very specific, if it wasn't for fire and soaking, we
Yeah.
would not have released the enzymes that we now have access to. We wouldn't have that knowledge. So let's say, for example, when you eat a bean, exactly, don't forget the legumes,
Right.
absolutely
Yeah.
twin. So when you eat a nut, so one of our favorite family nuts is the cashew nut. There's a big difference between eating that nut dry and eating it when after it's soaked.
Soak. That's right.
So when you soak an almond, a cashew, a walnut, a Brazil nut, any of these things, you're actually activating enzymes that are dormant.
Right.
And when you activate those enzymes, you are actually creating, nutrients for the brain that's very helpful. And a lot of people aren't aware of this. Um, I mean, I love this topic of nutrition because it's one of my very favorite things in the
Right.
world, because
I didn't know that. Yeah.
I've spent years studying nutrition and studying how it really works, because I was so tired of these algorithms and so tired of these advertisements, are you stressed? Are you fat? And all these things made us more stressed and more fat.
Right.
And and it was just overwhelming, right? And so like one of the things I was determined to do, because during COVID, the first stint of COVID, so we're talking about early 2020, what happened to me was that I got fat, really fat. And over my lifetime, especially because I was an athlete, especially because I was very nutrient and dietary appreciative, I thought that I was gonna die, like knowing how to handle nutrition. And what happened during COVID, when no one could move, we were mandated to stay still.
Right.
When I look back at the pictures, I just for the show, you guys, and I'm not even going to show you because I'm embarrassed. But when I look back at the photos, I couldn't even recognize myself. I was a tiny head and a big body, because I and it wasn't because I was eating um like bad foods. I wasn't always okay. So let's say from time to time, yeah, I'm gonna eat some fruit. I love fruit, and fruit, is sugar, and sugar does convert to fat if your body is looking for fat, right? And I am a person. I know you. I love your face, Black Sun. So
Because
yes,
I'm a little confused because the fruit provides the fiber to sweep out your intestines to
it
allow
did.
you to go to the bathroom. So this is kind of weird conversation for me because
I love
I'm
it.
always looking at well, I will even say starches, but mostly your meats that don't come with the fiber that stick to your, like, that old saying, stick, eat it'll stick to your ribs. Yeah, meat does that, but
So I'm
fruit
I'm
come.
gonna share magic with you.
Okay, okay,
So there is when I mean I'm gonna demystify all of your favorite fad diets, guys. I mean when it comes to like intermittent fasting, when it comes to veganism, when it comes to paleo, when it comes to all these things, guess what? It's all BS because the bottom line of science, we're only talking about physics.
hmm,
Bottom line of physics is that if you want to lose weight, there's only two components that are most important. One is to ingest less calories than your body's burning.
okay.
And two is to work out so that you make sure that those calories are burning efficiently. That's it.
I
That's
Right.
it.
mean, yeah, there's a lot of people trying to make money on weight loss, but what she just said is the gist of it, right? Intake, output, intake, input, output. But that's just fucking it, you know.
Input,
Right, right,
output.
right.
That's it. It's only math. So if my body is only burning, let's say 1,500 calories a day, but I'm ingesting 1,600 calories a day, when we use the compound effect, eventually I'm going to get fatter and fatter. If I want to lose weight, then I'm going to make sure I'm either maintaining that 1,500 calories, which will maintain exactly the weight I am, or I'm going to go under, which is going to make me slowly release fat from my body. And the issue is that two things. One, people are trying to, it's just like get rich quick. They're trying to get thin
Right.
quick, and that never happens. It's taken me that weight that I gained during COVID-19. I can't even tell you. I was so embarrassed to even look at a scale during that time. I can't even tell you guys how much
Right.
I gained. But on my own, with only science, I've lost 40 pounds. And I did not do a special diet. I did not follow a particular fad. I only followed physics. And from that I was able to lose in 2 years 40 pounds.
So when you say physics, so what I'm thinking, and this is always, when they talk about diets and all that stuff, I always think about your stomach is going to send signals to your brain.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so with
Or
me
we'll say
there,
your hormones, right? Because your
okay,
stomach is that hunger
right,
pain that you feel, that's a hormone, right?
right,
So it's your hormones that's sending a signal to your brain, correct?
right. So then my thing here, Nature Mom, is that when you have something like meat that is actually very low in a lot of calories, people tend to eat more of it to get that certain level of protein. Let's just say protein. Let's just say I'm just use that as an example where, because there's studies, and I have studies showing that a bowl of pinto beans, you get more protein in a bowl of pinto beans than you would a whole steak.
It depends. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah. All right. I mean, Zanzi, you want to say something about that, or
I am absolutely not knowledgeable in nutrition. I have opinions, I could say, but they would not be based on anything close to fact.
Okay.
okay.
So my studies have shown me, Nature Mom and Zanzi, is that the reason why the bean and the seed is so packed is because that eventually becomes a tree. So that bean and that seed has to pack all the nutrients for a growing tree, for a growing plant long term. So when you consume
Okay.
that, you're consuming a condensed, nutrients that you won't normally get. Like say when you eat a cow, the cow eats the grass, and you'll get
Now,
maybe.
I know that's the opposite of reality, though. I know that there's, you know, animals that eat plants have to eat much more plants to get the same amount of energy than animal that eat meat, because meat is a condensed version of plant
Protein.
when it comes
So,
to energy, right? Meat
and I have to
condenses
agree. I
nutrients.
have to agree with Zanzi in this area because let's say, for example, when we're only talking about the molecular structure of meat itself, yes, meat is dense protein. So yeah, when people are eating chicken, it is much more protein than a bean. Now, can you get as much protein throughout the day, throughout your dietary, structure? Um, to meet your protein requirements with eating plant-based proteins, absolutely, especially if you're adding spirulina, if you're adding beans, if you're
Mhm.
adding quinoa,
Right.
a lot of other protein dense plant-based products. But what uh, meat, okay, so we're talking about like meat products. What they're able to do is they're able to give you this huge pack of protein. So let's say, for example, in
Yeah, because you hold
slight,
a
a
pack of
slight,
leucine also with leucines, which feed cancers. But I'm gonna let you go on
okay,
for a minute. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So then we add another topic to it. So if we're just talking about your protein
Okay, that's fine.
input, so with the steak itself, you're gonna get almost 50 grams of steak in a handful size serving. And but like you said, then you're coming with other things. So then we have to look at the world that we live in, both with meats and with plant products, because you guys, even with plant products, what our meat is eating, we're not eating the same foods that the world was eating 100 years ago, which is
No.
when they started to share this information about what nutrients are possible in our food. This information is outdated. We are no longer eating in nitrogen and nutrient rich soil anymore. So the same soil that we are growing our greenery in today is not the same soil that was available for our plants 100 years ago, that they're basing a lot of this information on.
Okay, okay,
I
fair
thought
enough.
that
Fair enough.
we're
Yeah.
we're not doing crop rotations anymore as much as we're just boosting the soil with different chemical agents, right? Different.
Straight talk. I'm sorry. I straight talk. Sorry, Zanzi. I just have the giggles today.
So what you're saying is that our the soil is of poor quality than it was because we've been overusing it and we've
And
been
I mean, we're talking about not only overusing and leaching all of the nutrients out of the soil, but we're talking about all of the exposure to pollutants. We're talking about all of the contaminations. We're talking about all the arsenic that is in our soil now. We're also talking about our filtration between
So
our atmosphere and the sun itself.
so you're
So
talking
we're losing.
pre World War II.
We're talking way, yeah, above industrialization. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Industrialization. I mean, when we're talking about, yeah, when we're still using steam engine, it was one thing. When we moved to coal energy, which was the first like major pollutants in our air, our soil, and our water, it really started to make an impact over 100 years ago.
what
Well,
about
So
hydroponics?
I'm sorry, hydroponics.
Yeah.
Okay, so hydroponics is a very interesting idea because one, yeah, your greenery through like let's say an experimental method can look very green, but you're not giving it. It's not growing in actual soil. So you're actually giving these things synthetic nutrients, like you would give a child synthetic vitamins. Is a child who's raised on synthetic vitamins versus a child who's raised on natural nutrients going to be as healthy? That's the question. So when you're looking at hydroponics, Would I choose hydroponics over, grown in a nutrient rich soil? No, I would choose the nutrient rich soil.
So,
Now, oh, go
oh,
ahead, Zanzi.
in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and they're more and more turning parts of the desert into farms, right? From what I understand, are those farms
Yeah.
using hydroponics or they're using soil that they move around them?
Both. Yeah, so a lot is going on here. There's a lot of organic farms going on. Okay, so I love this word organic, and as they say in Europe, bio. So organic and bio, what does that mean if you're actually presenting the organic or the bio to the plant in a bottle? So first, the bottle is probably plastic, so you already have these leached, these petroleum leachings happening inside of the bottle itself. The second thing is that when you're presenting all of these secondhand nutrients, yes, the plant's going to look very healthy, it's going to have some benefits, but it's not. And this is what I'm saying, the difference between 100 years ago than today. We rely more on these bottle products than we do on replenishing the soil itself. And when you replenish the soil itself, the nitrogen, the niacin, the zinc, the copper, everything that goes back into
Right,
that
right.
soil, you're not able to get it in one bottle from a synthetic source. Even though those droplets are being put in those bottles, but it also has to compete with petroleum products. And so yeah, we're calling it bio, we're calling it organic, but then we also have to fight with these carcinogens that are mixed with these bio products. So we're not being honest when we are looking at what we are actually consuming from these hydroponic and these bottled fertilization processes versus the natural fertilization process.
So, what could they use instead of plastic to achieve the same result?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I know a lot of companies in the US moved to corn containers as far as making new plastics out of corn. I thought that was interesting. The problem is that, okay, so what about this question of like these GMO corn products to create these products versus natural corn products? It's a hard one.
That was the same
Even
debate with ethanol, right? Because all the corn that we use to make fuel is corn that we can't use to make food, right? So there's a trade-off. And what are we growing, right? Food
yeah.
or other resources?
Well, one thing I like to address real quick in human history, we always talk about there was a time where we didn't have nothing and we had to use meat in order to survive. But we tend to forget slavery, where the or the field Negroes didn't get the scrap. Let me just say this again: the field Negroes didn't get the scraps. The scraps went from the master to the house Negroes, and that was it.
Or
The
to the
field,
pigs.
right? But
Yeah,
the field
they didn't even
slaves
get
here in
what
the
the
U.S.
pigs got.
They didn't
It's
even
true.
get that, so they had to plant a lot of their foods, and that's why when I say when I talk about Jesse Owens telling Adolf Hitler about these super diets, that's why Jesse Owens said plantation diet, but he was referring to the plantation of the people in the field, not the house. So there's a big thing right there. Those
Okay.
field slaves had to survive on vegetables and fruits and vegetables that they planted themselves. That scraps never made it to the field Negroes, but the house Negroes it did. And then if it even made it to them, like you said, even the pigs. That's number
Okay.
one. Number two, and the second part of human history also is the barley warriors, meaning the gladiators. They weren't given meat.
Right.
Caesar and his legions, they had the meats, but the people who had to fight, the lions and all that, and each other, they had to plant their own food, and they survived off barley. So we, like I said, we always glorify. Oh, we when we had no meat. What about when I mean, sorry, we just had to survive on meat. Well, what about when human history we had to just survive on plants? The
Okay.
barley
So
wars and the
if I if I can
okay,
interrupt, so
okay.
you're talking about, let's say, the biblical story of Daniel, right? So
No,
in this,
no, I'm talking
no,
about.
So
Oh, go
wait,
ahead,
wait.
go ahead, go ahead.
No,
Okay, I'm
I'm
sorry.
relating it. I'm not
Oh, okay,
saying that's
okay.
what you're talking. Yeah, I'm just
Oh, okay.
relating it. So the biblical story of Daniel, you know, is that Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego
And then go,
were
yeah,
where they were fed only a plant-based diet, and
because they requested it. They requested it. They did.
ended up the strongest
Right.
of the warriors of the league. So yeah, I mean, you know, this ideology was brought. Sorry,
That's
I'm
not
sorry, Trevor.
true.
Let me.
Trevor, that's not true. That's not true. A lot of
Okay,
the stuff came with us. That we
okay.
call it smuggling. Because the slaves didn't know where they were going. They had to smuggle because knew they were being captured. And they had rumors of being captured. So a lot of these tribes prepared to get captured once they were surrounded. So no, that is not true. But we got to really get deep into slavery history now. But we gonna say that for another show. Go ahead, Nature Boy.
I love it. I just love this panel, you guys. You guys are always so much fun. And I tell you, I've got about 1,000 things going on, and I had to stop every single one of them just to come and join you guys tonight because this is the funnest crew on the planet right now. Absolutely. So when we're talking about like people who are reinforced, I do believe that there is a strength of cellular like strength, cellular nutrients, cellular cleansing that happens from raw food. And a lot of people are contesting raw diets. I'm not a raw vegan. I was at one point. I was vegan at one point. I do eat meat. I do eat eggs. You know, I do eat fish. And, but the strongest that I ever felt, and when I could attest personally for my best health, was when I was eating a 100% like natural food diet. So basically, as little cooking as possible, and just in the function of how I know our bodies should regulate. And you know, when we want to regulate, when we want to go regularly at least 3 times a day, it was the only time in my life that happened, you know, besides birth and childhood, you know, very young babyhood. 3 times a day it was on the clock. And it's very hard to get that type of regulation with other types of diets. So yeah, I even though with that knowledge, do I follow it now? No, you know, my family, we are a very heavy legume eater. But like I said, we also eat fish. We also eat majority beans. But um, do I believe that there's a competition sometimes in regulation? Absolutely. Because, you know, a long time ago, I read this wonderful book by Dr. Diamond, called Fit for Life. I think that this book was chocked full of nutritional information of how to actually absorb our nutrients its very best. So one of the things that they shared in this book was that no matter what your diet
Hold on, Nature
preferences,
Bomb. I gotta address this real quick because
I
he's
know,
asking some good questions.
I knew you
Trevor,
were gonna.
Trevor, the animals, all animals in Africa were fast. So if you were lucky enough to catch one animal for your village, y'all were dividing little beef jerkies amongst them. So yeah, the animals were like fast, fast, fast. And then the further we go back in history, the harder it was to catch that animal. So we had to eat our legumes. When we discovered fire, and that's why I had to address Zanzi. When fire was discovered, there was a long period of us eating legumes and grains cooked before we started eating the meat when we could catch it. A lot of times we weren't catching it. So if we were to in all grocery stores right now, and a lot of y'all that were supposed to catch y'all food, a lot of y'all would y'all all would convert over. I wouldn't say a lot of y'all would die. A lot of y'all would convert over because
Okay,
a lot of
so
these animals y'all was
if I
catching.
can add a little bit of history
Okay,
here.
okay.
So human beings sometimes, you know, we're talking about in the prehistoric times, human beings were actually eating the leftovers of even more dominant animals. So if a
Okay.
lion, left over, a part of a carcass, there were humans who were, nomadic at the time, and they were traveling through, and they would find this carcass and they would eat it. A lot of times, the carcass had been sitting around for a while in the heat, and so the human would had two possibilities: either they would get really sick for a while,
Right.
or they would actually die from all of the bacteria that was, like, manifesting on this meat, these bone carcasses. So what the discovery of fire did was it helped humans to understand that they
Burn.
could
Yeah.
kill these bacterias and actually keep moving from place to place, and still collect these leftover carcasses by burning them and then eating them, and it wouldn't make them sick or as sick. So
Well,
this
not
is
not
how.
not short term sick, but
Right,
there are cases
right,
of
right.
atherosclerosis in
Okay,
ancient
right.
tribes.
So we're
Okay.
not talking about carcinogens yet, because
Okay.
then we're getting into our century and our science. But we're just talking about, the very simple and primitive, mindset of the time.
No,
They
nature
were just
mom.
trying to make it
There
from place to place.
there are traces of atherosclerosis. A lot of these ailments that we have today, even back then, also.
I would imagine nothing's new under the sun, right?
Right. Okay.
Right. But for them, they're not thinking scientifically, they're
Right.
thinking survival.
Right. Right. Oh,
And
absolutely. Absolutely.
so in this survival, they discovered one extra element that helped them to not get sick from this leftover meat, which was fire. And this fire was able, and this is where the barbecue started, guys.
Right. Right.
They were able to, like, burn this meat and then move on to the next place, because we were nomadic until the Neolithic, the post agricultural age. So we were still nomadic and moving around and moving around. So there wasn't a lot of, like you're saying, there wasn't even a lot of opportunity to harvest these legumes, these feed, unless they grew wild. So in like forest regions, it worked very well because
Okay.
you
I'm glad
could
you said that.
forage.
But a lot of us come from the forest regions. A lot of us. Hey, shout out to Angel. Angel, you can join us. You can join us. I say that, Nature Mom, because I'm joking, Angel, when I say I've been restricted. I can't debate veganism no more in this VDL. So this is my release. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm joking, Angel. I'm joking. Okay. Go ahead, Nature Mom. I'm sorry. I'm
That's okay.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, so when we're just talking about these periods of humanity, when we went from let's say scavenging versus hunting versus actually like planting and harvesting,
Right.
very different periods of human history. So yeah, I would definitely agree with you when I was just writing about this last week. We went into this, like, Neolithic age, where we were able to like, not only plant different crops, but we learned how to rotate crops, and we learned how to have different varieties so that one particular variety wouldn't die off, in case of some type of like event. So
So I got a
go ahead.
question, Nature Mom, and I
Okay.
want and now because this is very important and very pertinent. You're talking about a agricultural period, farming period, correct?
Yes.
Now, did this come before the torching of the meat, or did it come after? Can we get a
I
time
mean,
frame
okay,
of
yeah,
when we?
absolutely.
Oh,
Okay,
it
so like
came
the
much,
Neolithic.
much after.
He's saying it
Yeah,
came after.
it was much after. Yeah, so like fire really helped the very primitive man
Okay.
survive, because they knew nothing. I mean, like, agriculture was technology. So this came towards the Neolithic period, and I mean, and let's say our modern day urbanism comes from the Neolithic period. So if it wasn't for the technology of that age, we would not have urbanism like we do today. It was the
Right.
ability to like breed certain animals and know how to breed them, and it was also in collection with the availability of knowing how
And,
to
and
crop
can
and to harvest and to
and,
rotate crops.
and I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, Nature Mom. Can I please state for the record that chickens, cows, and pigs are all hybrids? Just for the record,
Yeah, sure, that's true.
I'm
Like most
sorry, I missed
domesticated
that.
animals.
Say it again.
chickens,
Chicken.
pigs, and cows are all hybrid animals. Just for the record.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just yeah, because you said
Yeah.
breeding, so I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
But
Yeah.
Continue.
So
they have
this came
wild
from the
counterparts and
Neolithic.
wild ancestors.
You have boars, right?
Yeah.
In Poland they call them dzik. So yeah,
Okay.
we still have wild dziks running all over the forest around our neighborhoods, and
Right.
those are the original pigs. And like you said, they have tusks that are very sharp. You don't want to mess with them.
Right.
And these are, let's say, the ancestors of modern day pigs, which are now living on farms. These are
And the
these
reason I said that is because people always when I talk about veganism, oh, the GMO, this and that, and I'm like, wow, the same
oh,
people that eat
I'm
chickens,
sorry,
cows, and pigs.
potatoes
Mm,
are GMO, you guys. I mean,
right.
we would not be able to eat potatoes without genetically modifying them, because the original potato was toxic.
Right. Right.
Yeah, same
This
for
would
almonds. Sorry, guys,
almonds.
I have to go, but
All right,
Oh,
Zanzi.
all right,
very
Zanzi.
interesting.
Oh,
All right.
such a pleasure. I
Have a
love it.
good
Sure,
rest
he said prove it.
Oh
I
God,
can prove
Trevor.
it if you like.
of
What is it? Wait, Trevor, you got to. If he's not at work, jump on the dang panel because you being Trevor's being an antagonist. Hey, but I love it though. I love it.
I love Trevor
This is
too.
this
Thank
right,
you,
right. This is
Zanzi. Thank you.
thank you, Zanzi. He said prove it. So wait, I got to prove that chickens, cows, and
Okay.
pigs are hybrids. I
I
hope
mean,
he's
even
not saying that.
potatoes. I can
Potatoes.
prove it if you would like.
Yeah, we
Yes,
can.
I
Yeah.
can send you the data.
Okay.
And yes, most of our farmed animals, let's say a lot of our other animals. So we're talking about like in regions like this in the Middle East, they still eat camels. And are camels as genetically, modified as pigs? No. I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but bears are actually cousins to pigs. So
Wow.
yeah, so it just shows you the spectrum
I know they're
of
related to raccoons. I know they're related to raccoons and badgers,
uh
raccoon badgers, and
I mean, it's interesting.
yeah,
Yeah, so
raccoons. Yeah,
I mean, you can kind of see the spectrum there, right?
right,
I
right,
mean, they all kind of have this similar shape. They kind of have this similar like way of movement,
right.
this ambulation. So, I can kind of see it. Yeah, but imagine, having to get your meat from a bear, Trevor. I don't think that you would eat meat as often. You'd be running for your life. But the point is, yes, there is this genetic modification, just like our domestic animals, our dogs and our local cats, they are not the wild version. So humans have been learning this genetic modification for a long time. We've just, let's say, uncovered another layer of information when we actually broke the genetic code, and we
Right.
learned how to actually decipher it. But it's not something unusual to humanity. Through the agricultural age, after feudalism, people really oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I have the giggles today. You
I
guys are
know.
killing me.
That's
Thank
what.
you, Twin.
Hey.
Absolutely. Twin says that Trevor would eat a bear. I don't know that, Trevor. I'm just afraid to have you over for dinner because we don't eat much. So please don't eat all my food if I invite you over. But I'll make you some mad, wonderful cabbage. It's my favorite.
Trevor
Uh,
ain't trying to hear that vegetable talk. He is straight carnivore.
okay.
Even though he got spanked in his own debate, but I'm not even go there. Y'all subscribe to Trevor.
Okay.
Yeah, he got spanked by
So,
another vegan. But
all
go
right.
ahead, Nature Mom.
So
I'm sorry.
beagles are related to wolves.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that like this is the understanding not only with vegetables but also um okay. Not only with vegetables, but with animals and breeding. Through this agricultural age after feudalism, we really learned as human beings the technology of genetic modification. This is not new, you guys. So when they like throw at you GMO is not always negative.
Right.
GMO can be positive for you. It's just that these days, because of lobbying and
Capitalism.
because of money and capitalism, they want you to get your things from one source versus another. You
Right.
have to do your due diligence to know which source you're getting it from. So yeah, even your bio sorry, as I say it in Europe, bio potatoes, or your sorry, organic potatoes in US, bio. It's all genetically modified. It's not in its natural organic source from the original source. It had to be modified to be non-toxic for human consumption. So these are something interesting. Now, I don't have a lot of time, you guys, either today because really, as I've been sharing with you guys, this FIFA event is just taking over everybody's life here. But one last thing that I really want to like stress here is that no matter what your diet source is, if you are not paying attention, one, where it's coming from, two, what they're putting in it, and it doesn't matter if it's meat or it's vegetables. If you're not like really understanding what they're putting into that food, one of the scariest things for me when I moved to Europe was that everybody wanted to share with me their strawberries because, especially in the part of Europe where I live, they're known for their strawberries. They're natural strawberries. They're very fragrant, they're very small, and they're very tasty. When I first got there, I was used to American Frankenberries, I called them.
Oh
These
yeah.
big, giant strawberries with multiple, like,
Listen
attachments.
here. This is
Oh,
America. Everything
oh,
gotta be big.
it was so
Hell,
scary.
what's
You know,
wrong with you, Nature Mom?
yes,
Everything gotta be big here in America. No,
really.
go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And what I love is that when you go outside the US, things are smaller, they're tastier.
Right.
And more than likely, especially when you come from regions that are forestry regions, you'll probably get them right off of the tree or right out of the ground somewhere. Sorry, I'm losing power here. So my point is that I was very afraid after living in US to try everyone's natural or wild berries, because I was used to what I had in the US. And when people actually had me try it, wow, the explosion of flavor, of juice from a little itty bitty source, and how satisfying it was. And what I learned is it didn't take so much for me to consume in order for me to be satiated. And I think that that is like one of the most important things is like when you're getting your food from the right sources, you don't need as much. Exactly. Smaller strawberries are sweeter and they're more filling and they have more fiber and they have more water content. They're more nutrient dense, versus these like over fertilized, over produced products. So it doesn't matter if you're talking about a strawberry, if you're talking about a pig, if you're talking about a chicken. I mean, the chickens in US and how big the breasts are, you can
Right.
buy a breast this big in US. When I travel outside of US, usually if you buy a chicken breast, it's going to be about this size. It's not going to be much bigger than that. So just to show you the difference, they are using much more natural sources. um, so let's see. Free Spirit is saying that she's noticed this about peaches. Absolutely, they're just over bulbous, and they're not flavorful at all. But then when you travel, let's say to Georgia, or you travel to Croatia and you pick a peach, or Jamaica, and you pick a mango from the tree, or banana from the tree, it's smaller and it's tastier and it's juicier. Because what's fertilizing it is what's right there natural from the land. So I think that is one of the most important things that we have to learn about, like the first step to nutrients. I think that this conversation is gonna really need more time.
Nature Mom, right? Because we didn't even talk about how food can be as a drug. Also, we did not.
Yes,
Oh my
no,
God! And
yeah,
this is why we're having the food wars here in the U.S. We're having
yeah.
food wars because we're dealing with addicts. But we're gonna touch on that.
And let me be clear, induced addicts. Yeah, because
Thank
then
you.
you're talking about, endocrine pathways and the way that they're modifying food to actually target your endocrine system, to create
An addiction.
addictive states. And these addictive states, I mean, let's be honest, you guys, I just read only the first four, no, sorry, not 4 pages. I read the first six pathways of the Pfizer coronavirus
Mm.
vaccine, and only those first six induced Parkinson disease, induce alcoholism, induce drugism, and just imagine what they're doing to your food itself. If they're able to induce your pathways and like trigger your genetic disposition towards alcoholism or anything else, imagine what your food can do. So this is just gives you an idea of how powerful food is, it's in itself, as an addictive substance.
Right. And
So
also, real quick, I want to add too, with the factory farming, with agriculture here in the US, all of your meat is being injected with antibodies. So therefore, that's why we're coming up with these super bugs now. And because the doctor is sending you to this, he's prescribing you the same
it's true.
prescription that they're already giving the animals. That's why it's not working, y'all.
Before my battery dies here, you guys,
Okay.
I'll back Black Sun up, because absolutely one of the things that happened in Eastern Europe when I was living in Poland was that after the communist stage, where people were literally hunting animals and then selling them out of the back of their cars because that's how poor they were.
Yeah.
When it became capitalism, and people started to make money and open stores, these stores were asked very recently, if you want to keep your store open, you have to at least inject your meat products with 50% this. And they give you a list. They tell you what. And a lot of the store owners were very upset because they're from a very natural country. Let's say like in times, they're about, 30 years behind US. So to be told that their meat should be injected with these fillers and these antibiotics and these things, they
No.
were they were very upset. And this is what's happening now. It's starting to change over, because in order for them to keep their stores open, they're going to have to adhere to these new policies, and they're not in agreement. And so this is like something, let's say, that's already happened in US 30 years ago, and you can see it happening to this day. So exactly, when we're talking about seedless, how is a fruit
I,
seedless?
I
it,
don't.
it's its nature is to reproduce just like ours, right? So a barren fruit is something has
I
happened to make it barren.
no. I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm glad Trevor mentioned that because I don't touch fruit. This.
Seedless,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
seedless,
don't do.
yeah,
I don't do seedless. I don't do
yeah.
seedless.
I
My
understand.
watermelons have to. They have to have seeds in them. Period.
My husband says it tastes like chocolate. He loves it. He loves eating watermelon seeds. He eats them like, nothing that we're used to, where we're from. And my oldest child, she eats it exactly the same way he does. She eats the whole fruit. Some of us, we eat the apple and we eat around the core. No, she consumes the whole core.
Oh
And
wow.
she's like, "Are you gonna leave that? Okay, I'll eat it for you."
Oh goodness.
Because
Wow.
because we're used to apples that actually grew in our tree in our yard. You
Right,
know,
right.
she's not used to store products.
Well, growing up, I
Etc.
used to eat the rinds of the watermelons. I was a big rind eater.
Yeah, you know, and so okay, so you guys, really, unfortunately, I must run tonight. But I really want to continue this conversation because, like Black Sun said, there's just so much information when we're talking about nutrition, particularly about politics and about media and propaganda. There's a lot of information there, um, that really dictates the way we think about food and the way that we think that it affects our health. And so, Trevor, I know I'm not gonna fight you on the meat. I think meat would be great if it was from a natural source. Unfortunately, there's very few natural sources. And unfortunately, Black Sun, I'm gonna say the same thing about fruits and vegetables.
You can,
It's
hey,
getting worse. It's
I,
getting worse.
and that's why. But you know what? Just because I'm a vegan, I'm an advocate for if you hunt your own meat, then cool.
It's
I'm all
different.
for
Yeah,
owning your own
yeah,
meat, but
yeah.
how many? But realistically, how many people here listening to the show are gonna hunt for their own meat?
You
They
know, I
gonna have
used
a they gonna have a temper tantrum if they shut down the grocery stores. They are gonna have a
I,
fit.
I used to shop at a place. They called it Jiki Trop. So, and to translate that into English, it means wild footsteps. And basically, this meat shop, only sold wild game,
Right.
and it was the best meat. I only ate this until they closed, unfortunately, because people are really stigmatizing this type of meat. Because let's say when you've got Monsanto's and you've got all of these, thanks, Deacon. When you have all of these huge corporations that are controlling media and the way that the masses are thinking about it, then yeah, you're gonna think that like wild meat is weird or gamey, or they're always gonna put some type of stigmatization on it.
Right.
And the bottom line is, if you're gonna eat meat, that is gonna be your best source.
Right.
Not something that's going to come from these hypermarkets, and not even fruits and vegetables from the hypermarkets. I mean, really, my kids ask me all the time, Mommy, why is the mango staying green for 2 weeks? And I'm like, because it's not a real mango.
Well, let me
It's
just
just,
say this because and I don't. That's why I don't like really claiming vegan. I'm plant based, but for all you meat eaters, y'all can come in my backyard and hunt because I'm tired of these damn rabbits and deers eating my vegetation. So come take them out. Come shoot all you meat eaters. Come to my goddamn backyard and y'all can have a field day on some wild meat. Trevor, y'all can come to my backyard, take them out. Because I'm tired of them eating. And in fact, I think that's how we started eating meat, our ancestors, because we were eating fruit and vegetables. The animals came and ate our stuff. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna eat you then. Because that's how I feel sometimes. I think that's personally how I think meat eating started.
run, baby, run. Go, baby. Save your
Baby,
life.
stop, baby, stop going in my goddamn garden. All right, y'all.
Okay, so you guys, thank you so much. I can't wait to finish this conversation. Free Spirit just added one more comment that I have to just touch on. Avocado doesn't ripen as well. Exactly. It's because one. Oh,
Right.
that's a whole nother part of the industry.
Capitalism.
This
Yeah.
this very early picking when they know that the fruit is not ready, and then they gas it to ripen it. And this is just amazing. Yeah, we've got a lot to talk
We
about
got
if
a
we
lot to
want
talk
to
about.
go. This is one of my favorite subjects because I do feel like I would not have lost those 40 horrible pounds. And let me be honest, I gained those pounds eating legumes, eating fruits and vegetables. We weren't big meat eaters. We were very, I mean, let's say very heavy, fruits, vegetable eaters. And I still gained that weight during COVID, being, sedentary. That was a big reality check for me.
Well, and I know we gotta go. We
Yeah,
don't, yeah, because we got to talk about diet, losing weight. We got to talk about health, high blood pressure,
there's a
because
lot. There's
these
a
are
lot.
different categories. And so that's why
Absolutely.
when it comes to weight loss and all that, I really don't touch that because me, I've gained muscle on a
Yeah.
plant-based diet. So I've gained
More
weight.
people
Right,
gain on the plant based. It's
right,
true.
right. Because most, and then that's how they make your steroids. Steroids are plant-based. So that's why I don't really touch it. I know women are really sensitive when it comes to weight loss and all that stuff. So I'm glad you're here, Nature Mom. I know you got to go. I
Yeah.
want to thank everybody, man. We're right at the hour mark, man. Thank y'all. Spirit. Thank you, Twin. Thank you, Deacon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Trevor.
Triggered.
We go,
Trevor
hey,
makes it exciting. I
yeah,
love
we gonna
it.
see Trevor. Hopefully, we'll see Trevor on Champion Circle on Tuesday because we got a lot to talk about. Because SVDL, um, we got Solar and Angel. They setting up the debates now. So Blue, oh yeah, Blue. I want you to watch this debate because I think I'm gonna change my mind and we gonna. I think because Blue still owes me that Putin debate. Oh
Ooh,
yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Blue. I hope you out there listening, Blue. Hey, in fact, we got Angel in here. Shout out to
yeah.
Angel. She's the
Free
commissioner.
spirit.
Yeah, free spirit. And Yame, give the message to Blue. He's power to the dark side. Peace to the dark side. But Blue, yeah, you still owe me that Putin debate. I want if you're I'm gonna have to talk to you next month because I want you to catch one of these debates, man. Because Blue, yeah, me
Okay.
and Blue gonna have a debate on it. So
Uh-oh.
yeah, we gonna have a debate. He owes me a Putin debate. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he definitely owes me a Putin debate. So come on now, don't torture Blue. I'm not gonna torture Blue. No, he owes me. He owes me that debate. He owes
I
me a
love
Putin
it.
debate. So yeah. So with that being said, Nature Month, we got to continue this next week because I
Yeah,
want to deal with the
absolutely.
diet and how
Absolutely.
diet is one subject and
Weight loss
high
is
blood
another,
pressure. Yeah,
fitness,
yeah, yeah. It's all these are all different, and
and
people try to
their
link too much,
compartmentalized. Yeah.
right? Because I've never said anything about weight loss, weight gain, and all. I mean, I have, but not in the context of veganism is this miracle weight loss. I don't do that.
No.
I my argument is for the whole high blood pressure, diabetes. That is always my
Okay.
stance. So I want you to dang join us because we got a lot to talk about. I didn't know nutrition was one of your favorite topics. Wow,
Oh,
this is gonna be,
absolutely, yes.
this is gonna be
Especially
good.
when it relates to oncology,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
Because, in my family, I've lost a lot of people to cancer. And so, nutrition relation to oncology is very important to me
Okay.
because even my father died and my grandmother from the other side from cancer.
Right.
And there's a lot of possibility of it being nutritionally based as far as whether or not they could have activated or
Absolutely.
deactivated genetic code. So
Absolutely.
this is very fascinating to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, a lot of the cures now are actually new because even in
absolutely.
some of my debates I presented. Um, Shout out to SVDL. They allowed me the opportunity to present some of that. And so, with that being said, yeah, we definitely need to talk more on this because, like,
Absolutely.
it's a vast
Great
information.
topic.
Yeah,
Great
great
topic.
topic. And I want also, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do it the next show too, but I want to talk about cures too, cancer cures. So
Oh, so then you might want to, we can talk a little bit about Dr. Lee, which he's a very interesting
not only Dr.
leader.
Lee, but Milton Mills, Dr. Greger,
Okay.
Dr. Dr. Cohen. It's a whole bunch list of them
I
that
don't
are.
know Cohen.
You don't know Cohen?
No, I'm not sure who you're speaking of, but
Oh,
I
you
know
know
Dr.
what?
Lee and
What about Dr. Greger? Michael
Dr.
Greger?
Greger.
Okay, so
Yes,
what about the brother from North California, Milton Mills, the brother?
Mills. Yes,
You know Mills. Okay, you know Mills. Okay,
yes.
enough said. Okay, yeah. Shout out to the Milton Mills. Shout out to the and to the church he's from. He's from the Seventh Day Adventists, which a lot of people underestimate them people. They're one of the longest uh, non-meat societies in the United States. But you know, um,
I wasn't aware.
yeah. That's where Milton Mills come from. Yeah,
Yeah.
they
Well, okay.
believe in and
Yeah, I
it's funny
know.
'cause
Yeah,
yeah, a
he's
lot of them.
religious, but I didn't know that it was related to. Okay, that's interesting.
He actually said, yeah, religion guided him to not eat meat no more, which is interesting, but
This is what I know.
Yeah.
which a lot of people have very, let's say, moral reasons, for their diet. But I didn't realize that. Yeah. Okay. So
Well, for
anyway,
me, it's funny because I'm an atheist, but a lot of my discipline came from the Rastas and the Hebrew Israelites, their whole
interesting.
dietary thing. Even
Mm,
though you got Hebrew Israelites that eat meat, but I've learned the whole, even with the Muslims who don't eat meat. So I've learned a lot from those three communities as far as
you
disciplining
said
my diet.
Muslims who don't eat meat?
Well, Muslims are the first who didn't eat pork.
Yes.
And I learned
Pork.
about that through, Malcolm X, where the Muslims, the Nation of Islam, they didn't touch pork. So that
Yeah.
was
Pork.
my whole awakening to the whole meat thing. And I'm like, okay,
Okay.
if you don't eat pork, then why? And then I learned, when
Got
you
it.
learn the science, you learn pork is just as bad as chicken is just as bad as beef is just as bad as crab, and so on and so on. So their reasoning, you know what? We gonna say this for another
Well,
show.
yeah, we have a
Yeah, I
lot
don't
to
want I don't
talk
want to
about
keep. Yeah,
here.
we got a lot to talk about. But yeah,
Okay.
but I do. People gonna be shocked. They probably gonna play this back. Oh, he said he's atheist, but no, I'm being straight up. The Muslims, the Hebrew Israelites, and the Rastas helped me on my nutritional journey. You know, so yeah, and it was phases in my life. So yeah, but we'll talk about that another time, y'all. I know you looking crazy. Like, wait a minute, I didn't know this. Yeah, I
No,
mean,
I didn't. I mean, I knew this about the Muslims. They don't even play. What is it? Shfinka Peppa. In English, you guys say Peppa Pig. They don't
right,
even play Peppa Pig on the
mm-mm.
cartoons.
Right, right, right,
So it's interesting. Like absolutely no pig in society at all. And
right,
so yeah,
right.
but
Well, the 7 Day Adventist, yeah.
we'll have to share that one for our religion topic.
Right. Well, it's funny. Again, yeah, we need to say that for the religious stuff, but let me just say this real quick. The 7 Day Adventists had a lot of ex-Muslims. They had a lot of Rastas because it's a
Ah,
black church, and so
the
they
7 day. Oh, okay.
they basically did the same thing that I did. Took it just all came together, and it's like, wait a
Got
minute,
it.
it's the meat causing all this problems that we're having today. You know what I'm
Got
saying?
it.
Because they do a lot of
Got it.
social issues dealing with African Americans. So, anywho,
Well, we have a lot to talk about.
yeah, we
Yeah,
do, we do,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay. So you guys, thank you so much. I mean, every single one of you. Yeah, it's always so much fun. And I tell you, this is like the highlight of my week. Absolutely. So
Absolutely.
thank
It is
you.
mine too. All right. Well, thank you, Nature Mom. And
Thank
shout out
you.
to the chat again. Thank everybody for
Mhm.
coming out. Uh, Saturday or Sunday, 12.
Can we do Sunday again? Because it's going
Sunday.
to get
Okay,
busier
cool.
and busier. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So Sunday, y'all.
That's a
Sunday,
good time.
okay, Sunday at 12 Eastern. Adjusted to your time zones, everybody. I know Twin and Trevor are in Texas. So, and if
And
you,
can I throw out there for
yeah,
everyone in the Kuwaiti zone? This is 7 o'clock our time, 7
perfect.
p.m.
Perfect. All right, Nature Mom. Thank you so much. We like
Thank
to
you.
continue this because I'm like, wow, nutrition. Oh, ding, 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 ding. This is my, yeah.
I'm ready. I'm in
All
the
right.
red shorts.
Cool, cool. All right. All right, Nature Mom. We
All
out.
right. Bye, guys.
Peace.